In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, a clandestine meeting was taking place. The Elders, an ancient council comprising the most powerful alien races in the known universe, had gathered to discuss a matter of grave importance. Representatives from the wise and peaceful Xenoids, the technologically advanced Cortex, and the enigmatic astral beings convened in a massive, dimly lit chamber. Whispers echoed off the obsidian walls as they took their seats around a circular table that seemed to be carved from a single piece of starlight. At the head of the table sat Zorthak, a cunning and ambitious astral being known for his strategic brilliance and ruthless demeanor. His piercing violet eyes scanned the room, gauging the reactions of his fellow elders as he prepared to address the council. Esteemed members of the Elders, Zorthak began, his deep, resonant voice commanding attention. We have gathered here today to discuss a pressing matter that threatens the very fabric of our galactic dominance. I speak, of course, of the humans. A murmur rippled through the chamber as the Elders exchanged glances. The rise of humanity had been a topic of much debate among their kind, with opinions divided on how to handle the young, unpredictable species. Zorthak continued, in a mere few centuries, these humans have spread like a virus across the stars, colonizing planets and developing technologies at an alarming rate. Their potential for growth and advancement is unmatched, and if left unchecked, they could soon pose a significant threat to our authority. But Zorthak, interjected Taylor, a wizened Xenoid known for his cautious nature, we have always maintained a policy of non-interference with lesser species. The humans are still in their infancy compared to our civilizations. Surely they pose no real danger to us. Zorthak's eyes narrowed as he leaned forward, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. Do not be so naive, Taylor. Have you forgotten the prophecy? The one that foretells of a young race rising from the ashes of obscurity to challenge the very foundations of our power. I believe the humans are that race, and if we do not act soon, we may find ourselves at their mercy. The chamber fell silent as the weight of Zorthak's words sank in. The prophecy was an ancient legend, passed down through generations of elders, but few had ever taken it seriously, until now. What do you propose we do? Asked Xander, a Cortec representative known for his pragmatism. We cannot simply wage war against the humans without provocation. It goes against everything we stand for as the Elders. A sly smile crept across Zorthak's face as he leaned back in his chair. I am not suggesting we engage them directly, Xander. That would be far too obvious. No, I propose we take a more subtle approach. We sow the seeds of chaos and discord among their kind, turn them against each other, and watch as they tear themselves apart from within. By the time they realize what is happening, it will be too late. The Elders exchanged uneasy glances, the implications of Zorthak's plan weighing heavily on their minds. Some nodded in agreement, while others appeared hesitant, torn between their desire to maintain the status quo and the growing fear of humanity's potential. Zorthak sensed their uncertainty and pressed on, his voice now laced with a sense of urgency. We must act now, my fellow Elders, before the humans grow too powerful to control. The future of our galactic dominance hangs in the balance. I implore you to consider my proposal and join me in this crucial endeavor. As the Elders began to deliberate, Zorthak leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smirk playing on his lips. He knew that he had planted the seeds of doubt and fear in their minds, and it was only a matter of time before they would all come to see things his way. The wheels of his grand plan were now in motion, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance, unbeknownst to the unsuspecting species that had drawn the attention of the Elders. Dr. Lena Sarin, a brilliant astrophysicist and the lead researcher at the United Earth Space Agency, UESA, sat hunched over her desk, her brows furrowed in concentration as she pored over the latest data from the agency's deep space probes. For months, she had been detecting strange anomalies in the readings, inconsistencies that defied explanation and challenged the very foundations of her scientific understanding. At first, she had dismissed the anomalies as mere glitches, artifacts of the probe's aging technology. But as the irregularities persisted and grew more frequent, Dr. Saren began to suspect that something far more significant was at play. She had always been driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to unravel the mysteries of the universe. And now she found herself on the cusp of a discovery that could change everything. As she delved deeper into the data, a pattern began to emerge. The anomalies were not random. They were deliberate, almost as if someone or something was manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. Dr. Saren's heart raced as she considered the implications of her findings. If her suspicions were correct, it meant that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that there were forces at work beyond their understanding. Determined to uncover the truth, Dr. Saren worked tirelessly, poring over the data and running countless simulations. She barely slept, fueled by a burning desire to solve the mystery that had consumed her thoughts. And then, in a moment of sudden clarity, it all fell into place. The anomalies were not the work of some unknown natural phenomenon, but rather the result of advanced alien technology. Dr. Saren's mind reeled as she considered the possibility of an intelligent species capable of manipulating the very laws of physics. But as she delved deeper into her analysis, a chilling realization dawned upon her. The anomalies were not random. They were targeted. The alien technology was being used to disrupt human space exploration efforts, sabotaging their probes and hindering their progress. It was as if someone was deliberately trying to keep humanity in the dark, preventing them from reaching their full potential. Dr. Saren knew that she had stumbled upon a truth that could shatter the very foundations of human society. The existence of advanced alien life, coupled with the revelation that they were actively working against humanity, was a secret that could cause panic and chaos on a global scale. She hesitated, torn between her duty to report her findings and the fear of the consequences that could follow. But as she sat in the dim light of her office, staring at the screens that held the evidence of her discovery, Dr. Saren knew that she could not remain silent. The future of humanity was at stake, and she had a responsibility to act. With a trembling hand, she reached for her communicator and prepared to make the most important call of her life. "This is Dr. Lena Saren," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil that raged within her. "I need to speak with the director of UESA immediately. I have uncovered evidence of an alien presence in our galaxy, and I believe they pose a significant threat to our species." As the words left her lips, Dr. Saren felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had taken the first step on a path that would lead her to the heart of a cosmic conspiracy, one that would test her resolve and challenge everything she thought she knew about the universe. But she was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that she alone held the key to humanity's salvation. As Zorthek's schemes escalated, causing chaos and destruction across human colonies, Dr. Lena Saren and her team found themselves in a desperate race against time. Backed by the United Earth military, they worked tirelessly to thwart the Elders' plans and protect humanity from the looming threat. But with each passing day, the situation grew more dire, and hope began to fade. It was during one of their covert missions that Dr. Saren and her team made a discovery that would change the course of the conflict. While infiltrating an abandoned alien outpost on a distant moon, they stumbled upon an ancient artifact hidden deep within the crumbling ruins. The artifact, a pulsating orb of energy encased in a crystalline shell, seemed to call out to them, its presence both alluring and unsettling. Dr. Saren approached the artifact cautiously, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial apprehension. As she drew closer, the orb began to glow more intensely, its light casting eerie shadows on the walls of the chamber. Suddenly, a bolt of energy burst from the artifact, striking Dr. Saren and engulfing her in a blinding flash of light. When the light subsided, Dr. Saren stood before her team, unharmed but forever changed. The artifact had imbued her with incredible abilities, granting her enhanced strength, speed, and telekinetic powers. As the team looked on in awe, Dr. Saren realized that the artifact could be the key to turning the tide against Zorthek and his forces. With renewed determination, Dr. Saren and her team set out to harness the artifact's power and unravel its secrets. They soon discovered that the orb was not alone. Scattered across the galaxy were other artifacts, each possessing unique abilities that could be wielded by those deemed worthy. The team began a desperate search for these artifacts, racing against Zorthak's forces to secure them before they fell into the wrong hands. As word of the artifacts spread, the conflict between humanity and the Elders reached new heights. Battles erupted on distant worlds, with enhanced humans wielding incredible powers against the technologically advanced forces of Zorthak. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the two sides clashed in a war that would determine the future of both species. Dr. Saren found herself at the center of the conflict, her newfound abilities making her a formidable force on the battlefield. She led her team through countless engagements, always staying one step ahead of Zorthak's schemes. But even as they secured more artifacts and turned the tide of the war, Dr. Saren couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As she delved deeper into the mysteries of the artifacts, she began to uncover a disturbing truth. The artifacts' power came at a great cost, slowly corrupting those who wielded them and threatening to turn them into the very thing they fought against. Dr. Saren realized that the artifacts were not a gift, but a curse, and that their use could lead to the downfall of humanity. Faced with a difficult choice, Dr. Saren knew that she had to find a way to stop Zorthak and end the war, while also preventing humanity from falling prey to the artifact's corrupting influence. With time running out and the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, she set out on a final mission, determined to confront Zorthak and put an end to the conflict once and for all, even if it meant sacrificing everything she held dear. As the war between humanity and the Elders reached a boiling point, Dr. Lina Saren and her team found themselves at the forefront of the conflict. Armed with the power of the ancient artifacts they had collected, they launched a daring assault on Zorthak's stronghold, determined to end his reign of terror once and for all. The battle was fierce and unrelenting, with both sides unleashing the full might of their enhanced abilities. Dr. Saren led the charge, her artifact-granted powers allowing her to manipulate energy and matter in ways that defied the laws of physics. She tore through Zorthak's defenses, her team close behind, their own abilities complementing and amplifying her own. But as they pushed deeper into the stronghold, Dr. Saren began to feel a change within herself. The artifact's power, once a source of strength and confidence, now felt like a heavy burden, weighing upon her mind and soul. She could feel it twisting her thoughts, whispering dark promises of unlimited power and control. Around her, Dr. Saren's teammates began to exhibit similar changes. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural light, their movements becoming more erratic and aggressive. They lashed out at enemies and allies alike, consumed by the corrupting influence of the artifacts. Realizing the danger they posed, Dr. Saren made a desperate decision. She ordered her team to fall back, to abandon the assault on Zorthak's stronghold and regroup. But it was too late. The artifact's hold on them was too strong, and they turned on her, their once loyal faces now twisted with rage and madness. Dr. Saren found herself fighting not only against Zorthak's forces, but also against her own teammates. The battle became a chaotic melee, with enhanced humans turning on each other in a frenzy of violence and destruction. The very powers that had once been their salvation now threatened to destroy them all. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Saren caught sight of Zorthak himself, his eyes gleaming with malevolent satisfaction. He had planned for this all along, she realized. The artifacts were not a weapon to be used against him, but a trap to ensnare humanity in their own destruction. With a heavy heart, Dr. Saren made a final desperate gamble. She unleashed the full power of her own artifact, drawing upon every ounce of her strength and will. The resulting explosion was catastrophic, engulfing the stronghold in a blinding flash of light and energy. When the dust settled, the stronghold lay in ruins, and the artifact's influence had been shattered. Dr. Saren and her team, those who had survived, found themselves freed from the corrupting power that had nearly consumed them. But the victory had come at a great cost, with many lives lost and the once mighty team left broken and scattered. As she surveyed the aftermath of the battle, Dr. Saren knew that their fight was far from over. Zorthak had escaped, and the Elders still posed a threat to humanity. But she also knew that they could no longer rely on the artifact's power, lest they risk losing themselves in the process. With a heavy burden weighing upon her shoulders, Dr. Saren set out to gather what remained of her team and chart a new course for humanity's defense. They would have to find another way to stop Zorthak and the Elders, one that did not rely on the corrupting influence of ancient power. The future was uncertain, but Dr. Saren was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. In the aftermath of the catastrophic battle at Zorthak's stronghold, Dr. Lena Saren and the surviving members of her team struggled to come to terms with the devastating losses they had suffered. The once unbreakable bonds that had held them together now lay shattered, the trust between them eroded by the corrupting influence of the artifacts they had wielded. As they regrouped in a secret base far from the front lines of the war, Dr. Saren knew that she faced an uphill battle to restore her team's unity and sense of purpose. Many of them were still reeling from the effects of the artifact's power, their minds and bodies forever changed by the experience. Some struggled with guilt and self-doubt, questioning whether they could ever be trusted to wield such power again. But Dr. Saren refused to give up hope. She knew that the fight against Zorthak and the Elders was far from over, and that humanity needed them now more than ever. With unwavering determination, she set out to help her team heal and rebuild, drawing upon every ounce of her leadership and compassion to guide them through the darkness. As the days turned into weeks, Dr. Saren and her team began to forge a new path forward. They pored over the data they had collected on the artifacts, searching for clues that could help them understand their true nature and origin. They consulted with experts from across the galaxy, seeking knowledge and allies in their fight against the Elders. Slowly but surely, a new strategy began to take shape. Rather than relying on the artifact's raw power, they would focus on understanding and subverting the technology that the Elders used to control and manipulate them. They would seek out the weaknesses in Zorthak's empire and exploit them from within, using guile and subterfuge rather than brute force. As they put their plan into action, Dr. Saren and her team began to score small but significant victories against the Elders. They infiltrated key installations, sabotaged vital systems, and sowed chaos and confusion among their enemies. With each success, their confidence grew, and the bonds between them began to mend. But even as they made progress, Dr. Saren knew that the true test was yet to come. Zorthak was still out there, plotting his next move, and the Elders' power remained vast and formidable. To defeat them, they would need more than just clever tactics and advanced technology. They would need to tap into the very thing that made humanity unique, its unbreakable spirit and its capacity for hope and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. As she looked out over her team, Dr. Saren felt a surge of pride and determination. They had been through hell and back, but they had emerged stronger and more united than ever. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, to fight for the future of their species and the galaxy as a whole. With a final nod of encouragement to her team, Dr. Saren turned her gaze towards the stars, her eyes blazing with the fire of a warrior's spirit. The road ahead would be long and hard, but she knew that they would walk it together, united in their cause and their love for each other. And in the end, no matter what sacrifices they might be called upon to make, they would emerge victorious, a shining beacon of hope for all the races of the galaxy. As Dr. Lena Saren and her team pressed on with their mission to undermine the Elders' power, they soon found themselves facing their greatest challenge yet. Zorthak, enraged by their successful sabotage efforts and still smarting from his earlier defeat, had unleashed the full might of his forces in a desperate bid to crush the human resistance once and for all. Across the galaxy, the Elders' armies launched a series of devastating attacks on key human strongholds and allies, catching Dr. Saren's team off guard and forcing them onto the defensive. In the chaos of the onslaught, they found themselves scattered and cut off from one another, each fighting their own desperate battles for survival. Dr. Saren herself was pursued relentlessly by Zorthak's most elite warriors, forcing her to push her skills and endurance to their limits as she evaded capture and fought to regroup with her comrades. In the heat of battle, she couldn't help but feel a creeping sense of doubt and despair, wondering if they had underestimated the true extent of the Elders' power. As the days turned into weeks, the situation grew increasingly grim. The Elders' forces seemed to be everywhere at once, striking with ruthless precision and overwhelming force. Dr. Saren's team, once so confident and united, now found themselves struggling to hold on, their hope and resolve tested to the breaking point. But even in their darkest hour, Dr. Saren refused to give up. She knew that they had come too far and sacrificed too much to let Zorthak and the Elders win now. With a fierce determination burning in her heart, she rallied her scattered team, using every trick and tactic at her disposal to outmaneuver their enemies and keep the flame of resistance alive. As they regrouped in secret, Dr. Saren and her team began to plot their final desperate gambit. They knew that they couldn't match the Elders' strength in open battle, but they had uncovered a weakness in Zorthak's empire that they could exploit. If they could strike at the heart of his power, they might just have a chance to bring the entire system crashing down. But to do so, they would need to risk everything in a daring, all-or-nothing assault. They would have to infiltrate Zorthak's inner sanctum, fighting their way through his most heavily defended strongholds and facing his most powerful minions in a battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. As they prepared for the final confrontation, Dr. Saren gathered her team around her, looking each of them in the eye as she spoke. "I know we've been through hell," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I know we've lost friends and loved ones, and that the road ahead is filled with danger and uncertainty. But I also know that we have something that Zorthak and the Elders will never understand: the unbreakable bond of human spirit and the power of hope and sacrifice." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Together, we have the strength to face any challenge, to overcome any obstacle. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of our species and the galaxy as a whole. And no matter what happens, I want you to know that I am proud to stand beside you, to call you my friends and my family." As her team nodded in solemn agreement, Dr. Saren felt a surge of pride and love for each and every one of them. They were more than just soldiers or scientists. They were the very best of humanity, united in a cause that transcended their individual differences and desires. With a final battle cry, they prepared to embark on their most dangerous mission yet, knowing that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Win or lose, they would face the coming storm together, bound by the unbreakable ties of loyalty, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The time had come for the final confrontation. Dr. Lena Saren and her team, battered but unbroken, stood at the threshold of Zorthak's inner sanctum, ready to face their nemesis and end his reign of terror once and for all. They had fought through hordes of the Elders' most fearsome warriors to reach this point, each battle testing their resolve and pushing them to the limits of their endurance. Now, as they prepared to breach the final defenses, Dr. Saren could feel the weight of the moment bearing down upon her. She knew that the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, that the lives of countless billions depended on the outcome of this one decisive battle. But she also knew that she had the strength of her team behind her and the unbreakable bond of their shared purpose driving them forward. With a final nod to her comrades, Dr. Saren gave the signal to attack. They surged forward as one, their weapons blazing and their battle cries echoing through the cavernous halls of Zorthak's stronghold. The Elders' defenses fought back with everything they had, but Dr. Saren's team was relentless, driven by a fierce determination that no force in the galaxy could match. At last, they burst into the central chamber, where Zorthak himself awaited them, his eyes burning with a malevolent fury. He was flanked by his most elite guards, each one a formidable warrior in their own right, but Dr. Saren and her team didn't hesitate. They charged forward, engaging the enemy in a furious melee that shook the very foundations of the stronghold. In the heart of the battle, Dr. Saren, and Zorthak faced each other directly, their wills clashing like titans in a struggle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Zorthak was a formidable foe, his mastery of the Elders' technology and his own dark powers making him a nearly invincible opponent. But Dr. Saren had something that he could never understand: the power of human determination and the unbreakable bonds of love and sacrifice. As they fought, Dr. Saren could feel the strength of her team flowing through her, giving her the power to match Zorthak blow for blow. She thought of all they had been through together, of the losses they had suffered and the triumphs they had shared. She thought of the countless lives that depended on them, and the future they were fighting to protect. With a final, desperate effort, Dr. Saren unleashed the full might of her resolve, striking at Zorthak with a blow that shattered his defenses and sent him reeling. As he fell, the Elders' power began to crumble, their control over the galaxy slipping away like sand through an hourglass. In the aftermath of the battle, Dr. Saren and her team stood victorious, but the cost had been high. Many of their comrades had fallen, sacrificing themselves for the greater good. Dr. Saren herself had been badly wounded, her body and mind pushed to the breaking point by the intensity of the fight. But even in the midst of their grief and exhaustion, they knew that they had achieved something momentous. They had struck a blow against the Elders that would never be forgotten, and had shown the galaxy the true power of the human spirit. They had fought for something greater than themselves, and in doing so, had become a beacon of hope for all the races of the universe. As they emerged from the ruins of Zorthak's stronghold, Dr. Saren and her team knew that their journey was far from over. The Elders had been defeated, but the galaxy was still in turmoil, and there would be much work to be done to rebuild and heal. But they also knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together, united by the unbreakable bonds of their friendship and the enduring strength of the human spirit. In the weeks and months following the defeat of Zorthak and the Elders, the galaxy slowly began to heal. The shattered remnants of the Elders' once mighty empire were scattered to the far reaches of space, their power broken beyond any hope of recovery. In their place, a new order emerged, one built on the principles of cooperation, understanding, and the shared values that Dr. Lena Saren and her team had fought so hard to defend. At the center of this new order was the Alliance, a coalition of races and worlds united in their commitment to peace and progress. Dr. Saren and her team were hailed as heroes, their bravery and sacrifice an inspiration to countless billions across the galaxy. They were given positions of great responsibility within the Alliance, tasked with guiding the galaxy into a new era of discovery and enlightenment. But even as they took up their new roles, Dr. Saren and her comrades never forgot the lessons they had learned in their long and bitter struggle. They knew that the power of the human spirit was not something to be taken for granted, but a precious gift to be nurtured and cherished. They worked tirelessly to build bridges between the different races and cultures of the galaxy, to foster understanding and empathy where once there had been only fear and mistrust. As the years passed, the Alliance grew and prospered, its influence spreading to every corner of the known universe. Under Dr. Saren's guidance, great strides were made in science, technology, and the arts, as the best minds of 100 worlds came together to push the boundaries of what was possible. And yet, despite all their success, Dr. Saren and her team never lost sight of what truly mattered. They continued to draw strength from the bonds of love and friendship that had sustained them through their darkest hours, and to honor the memory of those who had given their lives in the cause of freedom. They knew that the galaxy was still a vast and uncertain place, filled with wonders and dangers beyond their imagining. But they also knew that as long as they had each other and the unwavering support of the Alliance, there was no challenge they could not overcome. And so, as the stars wheeled overhead and the endless expanse of space beckoned to them, Dr. Saren and her team set out once more, ready to face whatever the future might hold. They had fought the darkness and emerged victorious, but they knew that their journey was far from over. For in the end, the true power of the human spirit lay not in its ability to conquer, but in its capacity for hope, for compassion, and for the endless pursuit of a better tomorrow. As they stood on the brink of a new era, Dr. Saren took a moment to reflect on all that they had been through. She thought of the friends they had lost, and the sacrifices they had made. She thought of the countless lives they had touched, and the legacy they had left behind. And she knew, with a certainty that came from the very core of her being, that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by the unbreakable bonds of their shared humanity. With a smile on her face and a sense of unshakable purpose in her heart, Dr. Saren turned to her team, her eyes shining with the light of 1,000 suns. "Come on," she said, her voice ringing out like a clarion call across the stars. "Let's go see what's out there." And with that, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to embrace the endless possibilities of a galaxy reborn, and to write a new chapter in the ongoing story of the human spirit.